Hey, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of the New American Media Podcast. I have not done a solo episode without a guest in a long time. Figured I'd do one of these. It's been a while. Um, as you can see behind me, the leaves are changing colors. We're in September. And what's the best part about the fall season is, of course, college football and the NFL. So, if many of you don't know, I went to UNC. Go Heels. Um, we are 2-0, surprising 2-0 based on how our defense has been playing. But I can say Drake May is the real deal. He has been extremely accurate, extremely precise, over a 65, almost 70% completion rate, which is amazing for a first time starting college quarterback. If only Gene Chizik and our defense can figure it out, because we've got the 5 stars, we've got the 4 stars, got to figure out the scheme to make it to where we're not in a track meet every game. One of the big things that I wanted to announce here on the pod was we were up in New York City this past weekend. I've probably been there 30 plus times in my lifetime, if not more. It was my kids' first time. Both my daughters loved it. The little one was like, "When are we moving up here, Daddy?" And I was like, "Not anytime soon." But the kids loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed doing the tourist things because as many times as I've been to New York, I've actually never gone to see the Statue of Liberty. I never go to Times Square because it's all tourists. Um, Doing like the Empire State Building, Chrysler Building. They've got this new building there called the One Vanderbilt, One Summit, or something like that. That was really cool. The kids love that. We went to Hudson Yards. The only place in New York or in the city that does not smell like urine. It's so brand new that it still doesn't smell like urine. So that was a plus. But the kids had a great time at the Statue of Liberty. And after that, we went to Ellis Island. As many of you know, this show is about new Americans. And my philosophy has always been once you come to this country, you are an American. Whether you came 5 months ago, 5 years ago, or 50 years ago, you're still an American. So being at Ellis Island really brought some memories back to me when my parents immigrated here when I was 5 years old on a flight. It was Lufthansa Airlines, 1989, like July 18th, a week before or 11 days before my birthday. And we came to America for the first time. I'm so grateful to my parents every time I talk to them that they brought us here to this country, which I still think is the greatest country in the history of the world. Um, and it only gets better. Obviously, we've had our flaws, but I think that's the great thing about America is that us as Americans, we choose every day to try to make this country a better place for everyone else. You could see walking the halls of Ellis Island and looking at the rich history of immigration to this country from the 1600s all the way to present day. And It was just very interesting to me. Thoroughly enjoyed it. The kids got extremely bored halfway through, so I didn't really get to have the full experience as I would being a history nerd that I am. However, it was a great time. Um, while we were there, the main reason we were there, I wanted to announce to everyone, and those of you who follow me on Instagram and TikTok may have already seen this, but we are having a third child, and it is a girl. So I'm going to have 3 daughters, hashtag girl dad. Um, that'll be really cool. I'm super excited. Uh, I already know what to expect with my 2 daughters today, and adding a third is going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait. If any of you have some good names, girl names, we've got to include the cultural aspect, so the Indian component to it. The biggest takeaway I took from the weekend also, it was my wife's birthday. Shout out to the best woman in the world, Mona Gala. Thank you for putting up with me all of these years, and happy birthday, a young 21 years old. So we won't give her real age out, guys. But as beautiful as ever, and I love you, babe. Moving on. So, as I stated earlier, it is the fall. Best time for football, college and pro. I think one of the things in my league, which is has a ton of new Americans in it, was trying to find NFL players that are, of Asian descent, or, from other countries, Hispanic, Asian American, even from Europe or Africa, other parts of the country. You see it a lot in basketball with foreign players. I think football is a uniquely American sport. And as the population of this country grows, that is non native or are immigrants, new Americans, it's great to see that in the future there will be more new Americans, or I would say first and second generation Americans that are football players who have reached the NFL. One of those players is the quarterback for Notre Dame, one of the first people of Asian American descent to be a quarterback for a college team, and a great team at that. He is the starting quarterback for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Tyler Buckner. Based on his Instagram profile, from what I've seen, he looks half Asian. Not sure which half, but great player, great athlete. Um, and it would be great to see more players like him in the college game, and or at some point in the NFL. We all know the Falcons kicker, Young Hoku, who is Korean and is probably one of the only Asian American athletes in the NFL. So I know on our fantasy team, he was one of the first kickers taken off the board. As we know, football takes up a lot of the attention in sports, but we're only about 2 months away from Thanksgiving, which is usually the unofficial start of basketball season as well. And there, I think it's a lot more of a global game. You see athletes from all over the world, Eastern Europe, South America, Africa, Asia, all over. And one of the greatest moments in sports history that a lot of people forget about is when Jeremy Lin was the starting point guard for the Knicks during that span and created the whole Linsanity epidemic. I think seeing a point guard, an Asian point guard in that role, being so successful was different for a lot of people. It brought out a lot of fans. Prior to that, the only major athlete of Asian descent was Yao Ming, and they were only looked at as centers or power forwards. Seeing what Jeremy Lin did as a point guard was really outstanding, brought a lot of culture to the community. I think a lot of children at that time picked up basketball. I remember being here, driving down to a Charlotte Hornets game, or I think they were the Bobcats then, and watching Jeremy Lin play. It actually helped because I remember being in that stadium, and I rarely go to Hornets games because they've stunk so bad, and watched Jeremy Lin play, and it was sold out. So I think the NBA has caught on to that. I think the NFL will catch on to it. I think you're going to see more European players, more Asian players, more players from South America and Africa. The NBA has their NBA Africa initiative, and I think one of the largest groups of people and untapped resources of what I call human potential is in sub-Saharan Africa. I know many people talk about the resources down there, but the human potential in sub-Saharan Africa is so great. Over 50% of their population is under the age of 25. So there is so much potential, and you could just see it from someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo. So Giannis's family left Africa to go to Greece, and he was born in Greece, and then they moved to the US when he was able to be in the NBA. But when you give people access to housing, food, nutrition, safe spaces, they thrive. And there is no better example of that than Giannis and his two other brothers. This is why everyone comes to the United States, right? Circling it back around to immigration and all of those things. This is why everyone wants to come to this great country to help their families and either their existing children or their future children. And as we know, Giannis is one of those new Americans. But on our next episode with my guest co-host, Mr. Greg Chang, we are going to be doing a fantasy new American draft. So top 5 best and top 5 worst new Americans ever to come to the U.S. So you guys got to check out next week's episode. I think you'll like it. And follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and now our new TikTok page at New American Media. Check us out, everybody. Peace.